Welcome on into another episode of Game Chat. Today, we welcome in Sammoman. Some of you may know him as Sam Doyle, Sammoman on Twitch and on TikTok. We'll definitely be diving into that, go into his success there. He has success in other fields in the wine industry, maybe a casual disc golf, and he's not that bad of a virtual golf player as well. We'll dive into all of those things. But first and foremost, welcome to the podcast, Cowboys fan Sammoman.
Thanks, Kilbride. Always a pleasure. I'm really excited to be here, man.
It looks like they're actually down early. We are watching Sunday Night Football as we speak. I think Philly scored early, and then there might have been a turnover recently as well. But we'll keep that discussion to a minimum.
To be honest, I literally just turned off my TV that's behind my monitors. So I'm hoping when we're done with this, we'll have a happy ending
There
to the
you go.
podcast, and I'll be able to turn the TV on and be happy at that point
Yeah,
too.
see that they're up
As
14 or
right
something
now,
like that.
I'm not thinking about it.
Knock off those Eagles that no one likes. But then again, not many people like the Cowboys either. But
That's
I'm
okay.
talking from a Patriots perspective. No one likes me either. So all teams are unlikable, right?
We're all in the same boat when it comes to that for sure.
So one of the really cool things that you have in your background and where you work is wine. You're some. We need Moose to pronounce this for me. Sommelier.
It's pretty close to sommelier,
Sommelier.
but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And like, how did you become like into that? Was it like a passion? Did you stumble into it almost? Like, and what are we drinking tonight?
So, first of all, we're drinking Domaine Rollet. I don't know if you can see it here. It might come up backwards on your end. This is an Arbois. So, Arbois being a small town within the larger version of Jura. Think of Jura as being like a county in France. Arbois being a small town. This is 100% Trousseau, one of my favorite grapes on the planet. Anyone that drinks wine, it's very similar to like a Pinot Noir version of Syrah, is the best way to explain it. So, really smoky, bacon fat, earthy, but light,
Bacon
elegant,
fat?
and super fat, feminine. If you like bacon, this is the kind of wine you want to drink.
Interesting.
But yeah, my background overall. So I tried going to college in, I guess I graduated high school in 2005, 2006 and 7. I went to Kutztown University. Didn't really like it. I found every way to avoid anything that had to do with college. And in the end, ended up being pushed out of the situation by the university itself.
There you
And
go.
then I worked construction until I was about 22 years old. The economy tanked in 2008, as most of you guys know. I got laid off my construction job, which was for my cousins. I was working for my cousins at that point, and they had to lay people off. They didn't have the work. It came down to me and some other people. And as a 22-year-old that didn't like getting up at 7 in the morning anymore, it was pretty easy for me to go to my family and say, hey, I'll figure my life out. Keep the guys that really need the work, and I'll go figure something out in my life. And so I took some time off as a kid, broke, living at home, and I was, searching Craigslist. I found a listing for a restaurant that was opening up near me. I went in for an interview. They hired me as a busboy, and basically the GM at the time, who was a big wine nerd, I went from busboy to head captain of the restaurant in 6 months. I got recruited to work in the best restaurant in New Jersey, Elements in Princeton. I worked there for 6 months. And then my first GM, who was a wine nut, called me and said, hey, one of my mentors is opening up a restaurant in New York City. She's a master sommelier. And I told her that you have the best service out of anyone that I know, but I knew nothing about wine at that point. So I took a job for Laura Menech, the youngest female to ever pass the master's exam, on the backbone of that my service will be perfect all the time. And in turn, she turned me into a sommelier. I commuted an hour and a half out of New York City every single day for almost 3 years. And then at a certain point, I met someone in New York City that gave me an opportunity, which is what I always wanted to do, which is come back to New Jersey and be one of the best somms in the state, one of the best wine tasters in the state. I won multiple awards for blind tastings, competitions. And then, I got into the retail side after that. I picked wine specifically in the restaurant industry because I knew at some point there was an opportunity to leave. And that's what I do now. I do retail wine. I'm executive director of Cambridge Wines in New Jersey, global for all the stores. We have 3 stores now with a plan of expansion sooner or later, making it to Napa Valley and Florida as well. So
Wow.
yeah, so that's my
That
career
is a
background.
career path. Holy crap.
It's been a
I
little
mean, it
wild.
was
It's
like,
been
you
a
know,
while,
like
but
it was like, yeah, college was not going great. Then we had a construction job, and
yep.
then we're like voluntarily unemployed. And then
hmm
within essentially the 6 months of getting that job, you said you were like GM of that store, or like, some high up position of that
Oh,
store.
I'm no the head captain of the restaurant at the time, which is basically just a glorified server. Just a
Okay.
little bit of extended food knowledge and alcohol knowledge. But it really comes down to your service. You're the highest paid service on the floor, and you're a leader of the restaurant. And that's what I did for them until I got recruited to work in Princeton under Scott Anderson, who, if he wasn't in Princeton, he'd have multiple Michelin stars. Obviously, Michelin stars are in the big cities, and New Jersey doesn't get any. But if Elements was in New York City, it would be a Michelin-starred restaurant. $300 to sit down
Interesting.
before alcohol, tasting menu only. It's a pretty serious
And
place.
what, just to kind of elaborate further, because I don't know the grading scale. Is it more your conversation, understanding, your courtesy with the customers? Is it,
Um,
a combination of all of that, or like what got you to be the highest service?
To be honest, I will talk to anybody. I have
Yep.
no judgments about anybody that I talk to, and I
Mm-hmm.
expect that no judgments come my way as well. So in the end, even as a server or even a food runner or a busboy at that point, um, I was able to have conversations with all kinds of people, whether you were coming in for a special dinner for your wife and you were a middle class kind of person to the person that comes in and spends $500 every other night in the restaurant. I'm really just I love talking to people and hearing people's stories. And that just allowed me to make really good relationships and kind of just build my career from the bottom up, if that makes sense.
That's awesome, and like that, those right there, with just in hearing that career arc, you have two major points that'll help, and we'll kind of get into it further when we get to TikTok. But it's your drive, your commute, your like that commute that you had. You were clearly passionate about it, and you were motivated, right? So that's
Uh,
something similar that you could translate over. Then you would talk to anybody. Those are two huge things that you see on a daily basis that is going to really translate to good success, and shows where you are today for sure.
Yeah, I think my conversations with having, I think at that age too, at a younger age, the restaurant business really allows you to go wild. You don't
Yeah.
have to be at work until 3 in the afternoon. You
Yeah.
don't get out of work until midnight, which means there's a lot of kind of the in between partying that came with it that I really enjoyed probably until my later 20s. But at a certain point, I did choose the wine route, specifically knowing that at a certain point when I didn't want to do it anymore, I didn't want to miss my friends' weddings anymore. I didn't want to work Sunday brunch. I wanted
Yep.
to, get into a normal job that without a college education, finding something as niche as wine and then absolutely slaughtering the wine industry locally, especially in New Jersey, but also in the New York City scale, because I was around people that are really trying to be the top of the top and maybe the number one wine market in the world. Um, I knew that I was behind the ball most of the time, and
Yep.
wine was my way of catching back up to what was happening around me. I grew up in a very affluent area. Hunterdon County, New Jersey, is extremely rich. It's in the top 10 gross income counties in the country. But I grew up with a single mom. She raised me and my brother on a post office salary. Um, and all my friends went to college. There's not one friend of mine from high school that didn't go to college, and they do amazing things in their life. And I found that I was like kind of catching up with them all the time. And it wasn't until I found wine that, I was on the right track to like just feel like I kind of deserve to be there in a way with knowing that they would never think of it that way, if that makes sense.
Do you think
It,
growing up in that community helped or hurt you at all in any way?
Um, it definitely helped. I just had this conversation with my mom, the other day. Is that she had opinions about a lot of my friends that were very negative because we were all idiots when we were younger.
Yeah.
But because of that area we had a 99.7% graduation rate my senior year of high school for a public school. Out of the 1,200 kids, or out of the 500 kids that I graduated with, I think it was like 92% went to college. Um, it's definitely an area where there's a path culturally that you're supposed to take. My family has never been on that path. If I graduated college at that point, I'd probably been the first one, um, generationally, to do so, which is weird. Um, but my family are construction workers, blue collar people.
Yeah.
I work in a non-blue collar world now, and
Mm.
sometimes I find that they don't understand what I do. But growing up in that area created opportunity, created mental competition, if that makes sense. Um, and I find that if I didn't grow up in that area, who knows where I would be. But having
You almost saw
surrounded by people
you saw
that
the
were,
success around you.
and, and I felt like, hey, don't fall behind. Just keep working hard, create good relationships, and good things will come to you.
Yeah, because it's easy to just be like, oh yeah, I can never catch up or never do that, or like, it's probably far more difficult in a difficult, bad community, right? Like everyone around you's in that, so it's kind of contagious. Like you want to have that success. You see everyone else. It's just you have to climb that ladder a little bit more. But clearly you did. You're in a nice successful job now. One of the other passions that you have and have been very mm, I won't say successful because I don't know your exact history with it. We'll pretend it's successful. But I've been
I don't know where you're
watching.
going with this, but it sounds like I was successful at it. So
Yeah, I've been watching a good amount of disc golf, and you even
there you
travel
go.
for it. So it's definitely a passion and something that I am looking forward to trying out at some point in my life. But what kind
Mm.
of was that your first? What was first, disc golf or golf, like IRL golf, or potentially video game golf? Which golf came first?
So definitely disc golf.
Okay.
Uh, IRL golf is new to me. The only reason I got into it is because it gave me a reason to see some of my real life friends that I don't see often, and we started like meeting up over long distances and trying to make things happen. Um, Disc golf kind of fell into my lap. I'm ultra competitive, like
Yeah.
insanely competitive. Conversations maybe not I've had with you, but like my real life friends that are really close to me, um, know that I hate being in CC, like in TGC. Like I
You
actually
make it
hate
very
it. I might
clear.
not make it public, but like it's very clear that like it pisses me off that I'm in CC, like how much time I invest. Um, but I'm ultra competitive. Disc golf started when I moved to Morristown, New Jersey. There was a course nearby, and really it was one of my best friends growing up, Cody, was like, "Hey, we used to throw frisbees around. Let's get stoned in the woods and throw frisbees at baskets, these like targets." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Very cool." So it started like going once a week, going twice a week. They took it really casually. A couple of my friends took it really casually, but of course, I met a couple of the local guys that do it a little bit more competitively, and then I met their friends that do it even more competitively, and then I met their friends that are like, you have to join the organization to get a PDGA number and a rating, and then I started from there. I'm pretty much playing anywhere between 15 and 25 tournaments a year, all over the place. Um, yeah. I played today.
You're a
I play
busy
all the
man.
time.
Y-
It's just it's a fun hobby that's different than a lot of people. I've always been known to do weird things like that. Like I played cornhole competitively for a couple years too, for
Yeah.
some reason. But in general, like I'm just super competitive, and once I find a game, like I need to be good at it. And that stems from my friends from high school, me and my brother. I mean, I will try to beat everybody at anything. Um, and TGC was the first challenge that I had where I felt like I'm definitely better than everybody I meet until I get into this community. So like now I need to be
Yeah.
better in that too.
Right. Well, it seems like there's a much better competitive balance now on across all platforms, although you are playing on PC anyways, so it
Yeah.
doesn't really necessarily matter. But at least in general, which should be really cool to see, Xbox, PlayStation, PS, like
Mhm.
maybe, the tides change a little bit down the road, but I don't see any major difference thus far. I just played a round on PC after playing on PlayStation. They both felt relatively the same to me. Probably going to try out Xbox, but from what I hear, Xbox is pretty well balanced too. So I'm really looking forward to see the rise of Samo, man. Get to those pro tours that you've been itching at.
I'll be honest, guys. I've been watching a lot of streams, and I'll just say my scores are looking pretty nice compared to some of you
Hmm.
plat players out there.
There you
So
go.
be careful.
Yeah, let's get into some content creation. So I'm curious what kind of led you to Twitch, TikTok. I don't think you do much on YouTube. If you do, correct me if I'm wrong. What kind of led you into Twitch or TikTok? Was there any particular content creator? Was this kind of at the beginning of or at the during COVID type of thing, and you just happened to go online and watch, or maybe it started with the golf game and then it translated over. Like what was the order of operations there?
So I was doing a lot of content when I worked at Wine Library. Obviously, some people know that I worked for Gary V's Wine Library for a little bit, and or a lot of it. But it really started there. I was getting like really involved with their content side and just seeing like the intricates, the in and outs of like how they strategize, or VaynerMedia, the bigger company, strategizes
Yep.
when it comes to building out content or so on and so forth. And during the pandemic, a couple of my friends, they wanted to get the golf game. They're all IRL golfers. It all started with Rocket League during the pandemic. Of all my high school friends, all of a sudden we were getting together every Friday night and playing Rocket League. We would play whatever mode we wanted, but it was in Aquadome, and we called it Fish Tank Fridays. And everyone would get beers and booze, and we'd sit at our Xboxes because everyone
Yep.
bought. Because even people that didn't game bought the cheap Xbox Series S. It was like $110 at that point, and we were just playing Rocket League for like infinite amount of time. I was obviously out of all my friends, I'm definitely the biggest gamer within that group of
Sure.
friends.
Sure.
I was
Sure.
playing other things as well, but these guys became gamers. And one
Are you
night,
good at Rocket League too?
I was pretty good at Rocket League. I haven't played it in forever. I think I just invested my time in other games at that point,
Yeah.
mainly Apex Legends, because that was like kind of my go-to. But yeah, so one of my friends was like, "Hey, let's get the golf game." We all found codes on Google for like I think it was like $24 at that point from like Walmart or something just to play. But the problem is in anything that me and my friends do, especially my friends from high school that we're super competitive with, we go on the
Yep.
guys trip every year. We go and play sports for a weekend, the whole thing. We just Googled what the competitive settings for PGA 2K21 were, and the
Gotcha.
first thing that came up was TGC. And when we all downloaded the game, we literally just went right to TGC settings, and
Nice.
we were like, "This is what we're gonna play. We're gonna literally feel like we're gonna struggle, and we're gonna shoot 40 over, and then we're gonna shoot 20 over, and then we're gonna shoot lower." But the difference was those guys, they're casual gamers. They do their own thing. I'm a gamer. So of course, I started digging more into the website. I started watching YouTube videos. I think the first YouTube video I found was Respawn's putting video about the beans. Remember the bean putting video he made?
Oh yeah.
Really famous. Like I used to send it to everybody and everyone would be like, I have no idea what this means. Um, and then I was at work one Saturday and I was like, okay, I was never watching Twitch before this, never anything, but I needed to find a way to beat my friends. So I looked up live streaming, and actually, you guys obviously did the game chat with him. C-Mount was streaming.
Yep.
This dude is drinking beer, drinking shots. I'm like, all right, this guy's right up my alley, and literally answering any question that you asked him.
It's one of the best parts about Seamount's stream. It's
So
like is
like,
no matter how off the rails he gets. I mean, maybe in the final hour of the stream, like he just like he's buzzing
there
real
there
hard and like
was
doesn't
there
even
was
see
a
it,
point.
but he is so welcoming.
Yeah, I mean, I think like by the third time I watched his like Saturday and Tuesday streams or whatever, I like didn't even believe he was drinking. Like I was convinced
Yeah.
like
Yep.
he
I
is
thought
not
that at one
drinking
point as well.
alcohol. I was like, dude, he is drinking so much. Like I would fall over out of my chair in the amount that he's drinking, right? Until one night I saw him go a little heavy, and I was like, all right, I
Yep.
believe him now.
Checks out.
And I was like, yep, yep, okay, CMAT's on one right now. Couple too many double shot redemptions.
Yep.
Um, but so I started watching him. Uh, just here and there. He
Yeah.
always supported TGC. He always played societies on those settings. He would always answer every single question I wanted to answer or ask. And then a little bit after that, um, just now I'm, watching Seamount, and I was just gearing up to beat my high school friends in golf. And then it just kind of fell into like I'm watching now a lot of Twitch. I run into you, I run into Bear, I run into, I mean, God, if the comeback needs to happen, ran into Polak, who is one of two mods on my channel. Literally the greatest entertainer in the history of PGA 2K, in my
Oh my
opinion.
god.
And man, if I could watch
Do
his
you see
stream,
Bear has a Polak scene now in his
it's like one of my favorite. The podium, the
yeah, the
podium,
podium.
it's so good. It was just like this guy was a lunatic. He hate everything he put on you would make you think that he hated the world.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Truth is that he loved every second of it, and you could tell at a certain point because he would just chuckle to himself, like,
Yeah.
and he loved it. And I loved his commitment to practice rounds. I loved his commitment to everything. I made it on CC. Like I was just like, this dude's awesome. And I made it on CC, and then I think I made it to like E or whatever, and like was going up very, very quickly in the
Mm.
CC tours. And Emiliano was like, "Don't you have an Xbox? Like, you should just stream it because you can just turn on Twitch on your Xbox and just see what happens." And that's kind of how it all started from there. Um, Everything else was supernatural. I was doing like 6-hour practice streams like Polak, except like minus the cigarettes and Miller Lite. I was like probably drinking something a little nicer because
Yeah.
whatever. But I really got into it, and I really loved the grind of that world. Um, and then once you get your rank, your WGR,
Mm-hmm.
your tour, I mean, I was just as committed as any other
Yeah.
game,
Yeah.
just as committed as my disc golf rating, just as committed as anything else that I'm doing in my life. There was a bar set for me, and all I wanted to do was top that bar as much as possible.
Exactly. The
Um,
grind each and every week is so fun. Like even to like you constantly see the same names and like I remember I started in CCC myself and like all right,
mhm,
it's like these same like few people like,
yep,
I want to get past every week and it's like god damn it that guy beat me again or something and then you get so
yeah,
amped when you finally
yep.
get top that and like you slowly see the climb. So yeah.
Yeah, it's very addicting. It's one of the cooler ranked, look, I keep calling it ranked because it is kind
Mm.
of a ranked
Yeah,
mode.
yeah.
Because unlike Apex, unlike Madden, unlike NBA 2K and all these games, um, I can load up and play 50 Madden ranked games in a weekend and go up and down, win 5, lose 2, win 5, lose 2, whatever it goes on. You go on this ride and you hope to be on top by the end of the weekend. But in TGC, you have one event a week.
Yep.
You have a weekend's worth of Madden games in a year to be the best you can be. So investing the time to be as good as you can be in TGC was almost the most gratifying part of it because of practice, because of the other societies that you play and all that stuff that's so different than any other game in the world. And it's actually what I'm not excited about ranked matchmaking in 2K23 because then it goes down to the fact that losing like doesn't matter as much. We're shooting terrible in TGC, like it might ruin my week, and I enjoy having that
Hmm.
pressure while I play, if that
Oh
makes
yeah.
sense.
No, absolutely. It's I think it's a huge thing that drives the community for sure. And without TGC tours, I don't think this community really exists. And
Hmm.
obviously there's some decent societies and whatnot, and you would have some casual players. I think we would still have Seamount around, but
Mhm.
he's a diehard. But there's you start to see a lot of people drift away, especially when the game wasn't at its peak. But other people
Mhm.
like Killer Bees, with his match play
Sure.
tournaments, it takes a lot to organize these things, and
Mhm.
where there's no cross-platform at the moment, having TGC tours and um, a few societies that do that really make it more inclusive for everybody. So
Yeah, and which
um,
is everything in my opinion. Everything
yeah.
is about inclusivity and everything that I do, you know.
So you mentioned a couple things. So you kind of got in through Twitch. That was your first golf creation platform, correct? And that was based on because like you had someone's like it's like, hey, yeah, you can just stream through Xbox. So that's one huge point
Mhm.
that to anyone listening out there, Samo before this past month created all of his content via his Xbox and his cell phone, or
Mhm.
maybe a laptop or something. Like you had your
Nope.
like
iPhone
your
11.
overlays. Oh, you did your iPhone for the overlays and everything.
Uh, no, but I mean,
Yeah,
my
I mean,
content was being mostly through my iPhone for
right.
sure.
So just if you're ever trying to start creating content, and now over 1,000 followers on Twitch and climbing towards 10,000 on TikTok rapidly, um, you can build very, very quickly. So what kind of led you to TikTok? The other thing you had mentioned was, you had worked with for I don't know the correct term with Gary
Mhm.
V. What was it, that
Mhm.
conversation? Was it saying like, hey, this is the platform you need to be on, and like just kind
Mhm.
of really exploiting it?
I actually, like I said, when I was at Wine Library, I was doing a ton of content with them. Like if you go on their social media, if
Hmm.
you go a little bit deeper, obviously I haven't been there in a couple months.
Sure.
I was like the face of their company because I was the only one there willing to sit in front of a camera and just talk. Nothing was scripted, nothing. It's just there's a guy with a camera creating content. He tells me what he wants me to do, and I free roll everything. It just comes from being a captain and a som in restaurants and talking to people. It's really easy
Yep.
for me to start conversations and have conversations. And it really started there. And I think Gary was really diving into TikTok when it came to actually growing a community. And I didn't really understand it at first until we started making them, and then I started seeing I basically downloaded it on my phone, and it
Hmm.
was like, all right, I got my work account, but I also like have a personal account where I was like looking at other stuff and like just messing with it because at this point all I know that TikTok is a bunch of teenagers like
Right.
starting shit and fighting across the world. Like that's all I knew. Like it felt like that's what TikTok was. I was like everyone was like, dude, like what are you 12 years old and like, just like making content or whatever. And I was just watching stuff here and there, and then the algorithm started pushing out or putting streamers in front of me, specifically of Apex Legends mainly.
Hmm.
Some League of Legends stuff. Obviously, if you don't even play Warzone, you run into Warzone on TikTok like all the
Oh yeah,
time.
yeah, you can't.
Um, but I was noticing a lot of gaming stuff at that point, and I was like probably almost 7 months into streaming on Twitch. Not a lot of viewership or anything. I was mainly doing it, to be honest, like for more myself because I didn't have a computer with a hard drive. I didn't have an Xbox with a hard drive. So the VODs on Twitch allowed me to go back and watch my practice rounds and then
Hmm.
decide exactly what shot I wanted to make in my TGC tours. So I was literally using the VODs for more like almost like NFL films at that
Yep.
point. And I could
Absolutely.
have really like cared less about anything else that happened. Obviously, people coming in and talking and everything was like, "Hey, how you doing? How's everything going? Cool. I like have redemption stuff up, whatever." But really, I was just using it for the VOD recordings and to watch my practice rounds for TGC. And then I got into the TikTok thing, and I just noticed that golf gaming is insanely niche. Like I'm talking
Yes.
like at that point of when I got into 2K21, I bought it for $20. So it was already kind of run its course to the mainstream at that point. So it's even more niche than that by the
Hmm.
time I got into it. Um, so I just saw an opportunity to bridge the gap between real life golf, which actually is a pretty massive community on TikTok, and virtual golf. What does that mean? A lot of people talk smack about me and like going out and real golfing and like all this stuff. But the bottom line is like I have an insane amount of people that follow me that are just golfers, like
Right.
not gamers. Um, and it's been pretty awesome because it makes me want to go golf more and like get involved. But that's kind of how it all started. Was I just saw an opportunity. No one was really posting stuff other than obviously Apex did some stuff with golf.
Uh-huh.
There were a couple of like Hemo had one, Pleated had one, but there wasn't a lot of traction on them. Not of anything of their fault.
Yeah.
I just think that they were posting clips like anybody else, like post
Sure.
clips of their streams and trying to get on that world. But I thought it was like pretty obvious to me to like make the guy that understands what like eagling from 120 yards feels like in real life and just like touching that nerve a little bit in the
Sure.
game and really preying on it, right? Like telling you I'm using a 9 iron from 120 yards in this amount of wind in this kind of conditions, and then
Yeah.
they're like, "Wow, this game is really in depth. I'll never play it in my life, but I appreciate what you're doing right now."
Trying to really describe and draw up that situation that you're in, make it feel like, you can grasp a bigger audience rather than just,
Mhm.
grabbing a clip from video game and putting it on there. Like, one of the things that I feel like you do really well on TikTok is immediately having text and conversation right off the bat. Like, it's not like there's no pause. Like, hey, like if I'm just hitting a golf shot and like 5 seconds down the road,
Right.
maybe there's some text or conversation because it's just a reposted clip from a live stream.
Mhm.
It's not nearly as interesting as opposed to right off the bat you're saying nine, I have my or like it's a nice comfortable 9 iron, like using that that
Yes.
clip for like audio or
Yeah.
something like that, like having fun with it.
Mhm.
So I think really TikTok is like a way for people to learn how to edit, and I feel like you've done a great job and using the different tactics and all from your phone too. I really applaud like the amount that you've been able to accomplish
Yeah.
just via mobile device. I'm kind of scared to see how quickly you could take off if you start
I
understanding OBS
literally
Studio. But
I literally have no idea what I'm doing, guys. I basically feel like I'm streaming it from my Xbox. It's just like way cooler at a certain
yeah,
point. But the plus side, which was crazy, like absolutely crazy to me, is that um PlayStation less. The specs on the Xbox are so insane. Like I don't think people underestimate the fact that the Xbox is a hell of a machine.
yeah,
And it allowed me to stream on Twitch with a camera plugged into it with cloud-based overlays in 1080p, which a lot of people don't do from PC because like it doesn't like work well or whatever, but it allowed me to do it on Twitch at 1080p, and then I was just screen recording my clips in 1080p from my phone and then just creating TikToks out of those clips, right? And I think if the Xbox didn't allow you to stream in 1080p to TikTok, then my content probably would have looked really terrible and I probably would have been frustrated with it. And I think about like my setup where I am now. I've sent you pictures, and obviously,
right.
like I went all in. I'm a psychopath, right? Like
I
my
did the
point is,
same
like
thing, completely
it
hand up.
is
You see there's light
like
spinning
take,
back
just
here.
like take my card, right? Like it was like the
Yeah,
craziest situation,
yeah.
and um, I just think that I like it's crazy how much credit I give to like just the Xbox system itself to
Mm,
even allow the opportunity to just pop on live and like have a camera up also in 1080p and just be able to do what I did for I think I did it for like a year and a half almost, and like it really just like got me into it, and it got me into like you guys coming in and rating, and I was like, all right, now I kind of like feel part of this community, and I'm
Sure.
like, now it's time to invest in it. And you know, as I've told you like so many times, like I could care less about myself when it comes to this world. Like
Yeah.
all I care about is growing 2K, and all I care about is growing TGC. And I'll do anything I can to grow those two things. And all I care about is follower count. Like I don't care about subs. I don't care about anything else. How many people can I get on the TGC tours, and how many people can I get this game and be interested in it? Because I think Seamout said it, you know, in his game chat, is like we all rise together, and I am
Couldn't
the
agree
number
more.
one person that will tell you that like all I care about is growing the community and nothing else. So
Yeah, it's as you mentioned earlier, it's so niche, but at the same time, it's like really cool. Just as we're seeing 2K23 come out, by the time this airs, new TGC Tour event probably will be posted. So we might be diving into our first weeks on that, and we could see an absolute explosion. So
mhm.
hopefully you have some good rounds. We already have some test events out there, so.
I
Yeah, it's
already
just
switched to
really
legend.
cool. And one of the things you've been doing is, you talk about follower count and you talk about people coming into the community. One of the things that you've been utilizing better than anyone, probably the only person actually, is TikTok Live. And you have been crushing it on TikTok Live. And that is a major reason you have accumulated hundreds of followers, potentially even 1,000 followers from TikTok Live. I mean, I know it's like at 1.1K or something on Twitch, but you probably
Yeah,
have what, 900 of those from TikTok? Like it's all conversion.
yeah. I mean,
And
I it's basically TikTok Live. I got access. I think I hit 1K followers. I mean, we could look back on our chat if we really needed to find out, but I think it was like somewhere around April or May.
yeah,
And I got access to the live, and I told you, I was like,
yeah,
I'm not just gonna stream on here. Like I'm gonna pick situations that make things entertaining, that grab people's attention, and then make them want to interact. And
right.
it's been pretty epic. It's been actually the most success I've had is since the release of 2K23, by far,
Yeah,
by
you had
far.
what, 700 plus people watching you at one point?
I had 1.3K yesterday watching Michael Jordan try to hit a hole in one on Bullcracken Island. But like I said, I do it unselfishly. Like I tell people that come. Obviously, people are watching me hit. I think I hit 5 aces on Bullcracken Island, by the way, with
In
MJ
that round,
on matches in
really?
one round on TikTok Live. Anyway, a lot of people will come in and be like, "Oh, you're playing an easy par three course that funnels toward the hole." My success comes from like it's not the play, right? I used MJ to get people in the chat. I used
Yeah,
MJ to make the video. Actually, Steph Curry was even like a more successful video, let's call it. But I'm using them to get them in, and uh, Jimmy Borden kind of made fun of me the other day for it, but I love him to death, so it's fine. But I literally am sitting there and I'm playing an easy par three course. This is inside commuter. Inside little hint is I turned it to pro am, so I'm literally just like slapping. You know what I mean? Like I'm literally just
perfect's
slapping
all day.
cookies on
Yeah,
the whole point was like I didn't want to pay attention to the game. All I wanted to do was answer people's questions about 2K23,
yep,
and all I cared about, and I was brutally honest with people. I talked about what I thought about the game. I didn't tell people to go buy the game. I didn't tell people to not buy the game. I just answered questions, and in the 3 hours, I would repeat answers. I think I like the yesterday. I repeated my rating for the game out of 10, which is I gave it an 8.5. I mean, it had to be like 100 and something times because people just come in and say, rate the game out of
yep.
10, and I'm just like 8.5, but I'm literally just sitting there and just answering people's questions and just getting them all the information that they need to make the decisions themselves. That's literally how I do it. But like I said, I do it strategically, and I do it
Hmm.
not just turn my phone on and play golf. I do it for a reason, and it's been pretty successful.
Yeah, well, it also shows like the niche of Twitch, right? Like TikTok comparatively to Twitch has to be 20,
Mm-hmm.
50, maybe 100 times bigger on
Mm-hmm.
audience, like realistically. And Twitch is massive too. Like Twitch has
Mm-hmm.
obviously crazy numbers, probably millions of people on Twitch, but
Sure.
like TikTok, it's every kid in America, this first app they are downloading right now is TikTok because and they're
Yep.
scrolling on it for hours. So like the actual amount of time spent on the
Mm-hmm.
application, I bet you was astronomically favored towards TikTok. And
Mm-hmm.
therefore the exposure, the amount of different people that you get to interact with, and that's one of the really cool things that I've seen been able to do. Obviously, I'm seeing the Red Fast review. You're promoting that quite frequently. Thank you,
And
by the way.
Jack
Thank you.
Wagon. And Jack,
A-
I think
And
Jack
Jack
Please,
Wagon.
like Jack Wagon like boosted like 40 people. It was because I was on a TikTok live. Everyone asked to 1v1 me. And I
Yep.
told them, I'm like, I'm not 1v1ing anybody.
Yeah.
Just go join Jack
I'll
Wagon and tell me what
1v40
you
all
do.
of you right
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
Join
like,
Jack Wagon.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, like I said, like I don't have it. I have a society now. I think I'm just gonna build it through TikTok. I'm not gonna like crazy promote it or anything, but I'm just gonna give people. Hopefully, with crossplay, we can do it easily too. But I'm gonna give a place for people to try to beat me,
Yeah.
and some people will, whatever. But a lot of those people that talk a lot of shit, I'm just giving them the chance, and it's just fun. Like no one's coming in my chat that's gonna make me upset. Like I come from a low income family and I busted my ass to where I am. There's not one comment, not one thing that anyone can say on TikTok that would ever upset me. So I'll feed into it. And
Yeah.
and something that someone said the other day, I think it was Sweet Billy Boy, he's like, you know how to push people's buttons on TikTok.
You
And
certainly
I was like,
do.
yeah, because guess what? They push back. And when they push back, the algorithm pops off.
Yeah. Oh, what
And
do you mean? What do you
that's
mean
what
when
it's
they push back the
yeah,
algorithm pops off?
exactly. Like
Like they're like comments, like it'll
yeah,
help
they're
you or
comment.
something?
If you get in an argument with someone
Oh,
over
back
an
and forth on
opinion
the
about a
comments.
game, the back and forth in the comments is just triggering the algorithm and putting it in front of people. Um, and I mean, something that we haven't talked about is TikTok is still short form, right? Like it's
Yep.
still quick. People aren't in your lives for an extended period of time. But I sent you a screenshot the other day. When I did the Steph Curry thing, I
Yeah.
literally had hundreds of people that were over an hour of retention time, which is unheard of on TikTok.
Yeah.
Unheard, like absolutely unheard of, right?
Yeah.
Um,
You're lucky if
but
you get
I
three
still
minutes,
my
never
average
mind over
out,
an
out, of,
hour.
out of my average though, I still averaged only a minute and a half because I had 44,000 viewers, unique viewers in that stream,
Hmm.
and most of them just click away. The bottom line is I still had hundreds of people with that kind of retention time. So the stat is really those people of what you're doing right and
Yes.
how to look at that, you know? Like I had 1.1 thousand concurrent or 2,000 concurrent viewers the other day on TikTok, but like let's be real, 950 of them don't watch for more than 30 seconds, right?
Right.
So like it's fine. How do I get them to stay a little bit longer? I have been like kind of pressing the whole I want to stream key from TikTok, so interact a lot, and that kind of probably helps the retention time a little bit. But in general, like it is still short form. It's very quick, so you just got to get people involved. As you know, I play music in the background of extremely recognizable music, like
Hmm.
literally the top greatest hits of classic rock of all
Yep.
time, and I'll play it in the background of my TikTok, and people will just have their phones on. They're like, "Oh, damn, is that Bob Seger? I'll stick it out for this song." Oh, Bob Seger's over it. When Elton John, I'll stick it out one more time. Next
Yep.
thing you know, they're watching virtual golf for like 25 minutes and listening to like 9 classic rock songs in a row. Um, and that's just thinking about those things and using TikTok to uh, grow my audience, let's per se. Um, it's been really awesome. And obviously, we have our community on Twitch. And I'll always say, we have our community, but we are in a bubble. We are definitely in a bubble. Obviously, we have a lot of new faces now, but we're in a bubble. Like when
Yep.
I'm streaming, when you're streaming, it's a lot of the same people and it's a lot of streamers as well. And we're in our bubble. On TikTok, I've built a legitimate community of people, Jay Good, Yeefer, all these guys that would have never even run into me if it wasn't for TikTok, and
And
they
they
don't
still
even
might
come
not
over
even
to
download the Twitch application.
They don't even download Twitch, and they're in my lives for hours and just hanging out, listening to music. Don't play PGA 2K, and just vibe. You've seen him around. Big Haya, dude.
Yeah.
The dude made it to like Elite or Kinetic. Didn't even know what TGC was in March. Been playing the game casually with friends, and he ran into my TikTok live, and I told him about TGC tours. Joined it, and in one special event, he was in the Pro Tours. So, like I said, it's all about community and growing everybody in total. That's
Yep.
all I care about. And I will feed people into our community in any way possible. And in my eyes, since TGC is what drug on the longest in 2K21 and the community hung
Yeah.
on to, all I care about is getting people on that website and just being like, holy shit, what is this? I want to try this. And that's what I've literally been doing. And that's all I care about with my TikTok and everything I've been doing in the end. So,
You know how they say like, or they show the picture. I like the pictures, that, and they always do this on broadcasts, especially during national broadcasts. It's like
mhm.
it'll be like Bill Parcells' coaching tree, and you'll see
Yeah.
all these coaches and like assistants, and like,
Yes.
holy
Yes.
shit, I know every single one of these, and they're all
Mhm.
coaching everywhere. I want to see the Sammoman follower tree one day. That would be sick. Like, just to see
Yeah,
like
yeah.
who came over, because honestly, that's what I was leaning towards in just saying Red Fast Review alone. I know that's a
Mhm.
secondary or potentially even a third society that you promote way after TGC. Like, TGC is always the main point of discussion, and rightfully so. Um, but seeing the amount of people that trickle through, I'm like, oh, another new name, new name, new name, and I look, no TGC tour, no TGC tour card,
Yep.
all of them, and
Yep.
I'm like, this is a Samo Man guy. This is a Samo Man guy. This is a
Yes.
Samo Man guy. And like, I
Mhm.
know for a fact it is, and it's in just seeing the interaction and the live streams occasionally when I pop in.
Mhm.
It's always pumping in there. So, yeah, TikTok Live is not something to be, scoffed at, and it is definitely a force. In watching you do the co-streams, I
Mhm.
assume that is the platform you're enjoying most, is TikTok over Twitch at the moment.
Um, no, definitely
No.
not. I
Okay.
actually like Twitch more. I feel like the thing is, here's what happens, right? I can't do co-streams anymore because with a PC, my Xbox allowed me to play sound through speakers and my headset, and like I could do it at the same time. On
Ooh.
PC and OBS, it's not a thing. So
Yeah.
like if I want to do it, a co-stream, it's basically silent on my phone. Um, so
It's a bummer.
that's why I'm begging for
Pushing
that
for the
stream
stream
key
key.
because
Yeah.
the stream
That's what
key,
I've been pushing for,
um,
because I want to do it myself,
yeah.
but I
So you
refuse
basically
to.
have to, right? You duplicate OBS basically as a program. I've already looked it up,
Yep.
and then you run OBS twice, one in
Exactly.
TikTok format with that stream key, one in your
Mm-hmm.
Twitch. And I love the whole. I don't know if you've seen it, but I love the whole like at 100K likes, I'll eat a ghost pepper. Like I love that shit. I think it is hilarious. So I'm trying to figure out my angle of what it'll be for that because honestly, like people are growing their communities overnight over things like that because the way that the TikTok algorithm works is the more interactions you get, the more people see it. So if
Right.
you're a streamer and you're a gamer, if you get 100,000 likes on your stream quickly, you're gonna very quickly be at that 4,000, 5,000 like situation. It's just it doesn't allow you to do that through your phone. Put it on the screen, make people aware of it.
Right.
I need OBS to be able to do that because I'm telling you, like I see what people are doing and they're not stupid, and it's working.
Oh yeah.
These guys are playing Warzone with 2.5 Scoville unit peppers in their mouth, and people think it's hilarious. I'll embarrass myself all fucking day to grow this community. So I'm into it. I love that, you know? I love it. I just can't do it with booze. Like if I could do it with like chugging beer on camera, I would do it, but it's like super not allowed on TikTok. Like stuff like that would be so funny to me.
Oh, is that like against terms of service over there hard?
Yeah, like you can't do any of that. And like if you get caught,
Ah,
it's like a big time situation. So
damn.
it's
Yeah,
tough.
and Twitch has like promoted, or not necessarily promoted, but like did release the thing. Like they're allowing um, cross stream. What is it? Multi streams at this point. So like you can do
Uh,
it, right?
yeah, Twitch and TikTok are allowing it
Yeah.
now. So, and that's only because Twitch probably ran the data and they
And
were
they're like,
like,
oh
"Holy
yeah, we're
shit,
getting
they're
a ton of
making
more
so
people
much
and
money on
users.
it." They are making so much money on it now that why not allow it? I know that they don't
Yeah.
allow it. Like you can't do YouTube and Facebook and Twitch, but they're all in on allowing you to do it on TikTok. So,
Yeah, I mean
like,
it makes no, it would make no sense for them not to, because it's at the end of the day, in my opinion, and I would assume you probably agree with me, the best live streaming platform is a, a leaps and bounds away Twitch,
mhm,
because the way that they have everything set up, it is
yes.
extremely niche as opposed to TikTok. So it's
Mhm.
just the audience on it is small. So it's getting people to come to Twitch as much as TGC too, right?
Yep, and that was what we were talking about earlier when you asked me like which one I like more, and like you assumed TikTok. Thing is, the people that go from TikTok to Twitch, they've committed to your channel, right?
Right.
Like they're buying in. They went
Hmm.
to another app and followed you, and is hanging out in your chat. They're buying into what you're doing. The next step, right? Obviously, like they're really buying in.
Yep.
They'll do the sub or whatever, but they're buying in enough to that they made it over to another app to follow you,
Yep.
and they care more. So the interactions and the talking and the conversations I have on Twitch, I invest a little bit more into because this person is willing to go from a different app over to Twitch and then add me on their channels on Twitch. Where on TikTok, most of the time they're just running into me,
Yep.
right? They've taken a spot up within their followed lists on Twitch for me. So I care more about them and I care more about interacting with them in the end. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so this has been great thus far. I do have one last question before we head out. We've been golfing for a couple years now. Are you getting into IRL golf more now? Like, swinging the clubs at all? I know you weren't much of a golfer beforehand, right? Like, you're still not.
I try.
Yeah,
I think I'm still like ultra casual.
yeah,
I didn't really have time uh, to really get that into it in the past, like I did because I chose disc golf 7 years
yep,
ago. Disc golf has been my competitive side. A lot of my real life friends do golf. They get together. So I have been golfing here and there, but I've been borrowing my buddy's clubs that are like he's 6'2", I'm 6'2",
yeah,
and borrowing his old. He has an older set that I use or whatever.
sure,
But this new company I just started with, they have a membership to a golf club. My one boss, who's a year younger than me, one of the owners, was a D1 golfer. He shoots like 68s and 69s on the regular. His cousin, who's
jeez.
the other owner, is he's like a 10 handicap. They golf all the time. So I think that possibly this winter I go get fitted and just go get a set, have it for the next 20 years of my life. Go out and have fun with friends. Maybe take a couple lessons so I'm not going out as blind as I am. Um, and just
So
go out and
one
have fun. I mean,
one
I'm a
thing that I
nasty
would,
putter. Friends will tell you I'm a nasty putter. It's just hand-eye shit I'm really good at.
yeah.
Everything else getting there, I'm terrible. So,
One thing that's helped me out a lot, and this is coming from me. I was probably 25 handicap, and now, I mean, I'm only down to a 22, but I feel like I'm progressively getting better. It's just I go once a month now since the since the kid was born this year. I feel like I could have been a lot more better, lot more better, lot more better, lot more better. If I had the time, but utilizing Twitch, like obviously Progressive is a great
yep.
resource, but honestly, sometimes I would bring up my video on stream,
Hmm.
take a video of yourself. I learned so much about watching that. And yeah, you might get 10 different answers, but maybe like two or three of them are common, and it's
For sure.
focus on one thing at a time. You know what I mean? It's just like, Oh, and that like that one thing clicks and it's like, oh yeah, your hand should be higher or you need further extension or your wrists are doing this. Just focus on that one thing and then like do that for a week and get that muscle memory. You'll get there. You'll get there.
I told my friends basically like I just want to break 100,
Yeah.
and if I shoot 95s for the rest of my life, I'm happy. It's not
Yeah,
anything that
you
I want
think
to like
that.
go too deep in.
And
Trust
then
me,
you want to break
you
90.
don't even know. There would be disc golf puts enough on me.
Fair enough.
I played today and I shot well today and I still
Yeah.
left like not happy. You know what I mean? Like, and I really look at golf as something that's really casual for me and something that I really just like when my friend texts me like, "Hey, you want to go golfing?" I just want to say yes and just go hang out with him. And it's not about the game of golf and like beating him or him beating me. It's just like me going to see them.
Uh-huh.
And unless something happens in my life where like all of a sudden it might be like who knows, beating my boss. Like all of a sudden I want to like beat one of my bosses one time and now I'm ultra competitive at that. Um IRL golf is the one thing in my entire life that I'm like okay knowing that I'll never be the best out of my friends and I'm there just to hang out with them. It's so weird, but it's the truth.
Fair enough.
Uh,
Fair enough. You know what you like, and at the end of the day, maybe you'll get to the pro tours on virtual golf and show like
this year,
convert them over
this
to
year,
TGC tours,
it
right?
just doesn't happen this year. There's gonna be one sad TGC player on Twitch. Trust me.
Well, I'll give you one last cheers in honor of Seamount because we have that in common. And thank you very much, Samo Man, for coming on Game Chat. And yeah, hopefully anyone out there watching goes and gives him a follow over on TikTok as well as Twitch, the more important platform for him. And we'll see you guys next time.
Cheers, buddy.